The experiment which we have to do in today's class is about the Python. I think everyone has done this thing, that is they have installed the Python, and we are working on the simplest version of Python, that is Python IDLE, Integrated Development Learning Environment. So we have to use this thing for our basic kind of scripts. The first experiment is dedicated towards the counting of number of A, T, G, and C, which is present in your given gene sequence. Everyone has, I think, beautifully illustrated that in the form of table, that how many number of CDS are there, how many number of exons are there, what is the length of their gene sequence. This length, in this case of length, what is the number of A, T, G, and C? You have to write a Python script for that. Also, in your gene sequence, what is the composition of G and C? Can anybody tell me what is the significance of this GC content in the gene sequence? Stability of the DNA as well as melting point of the DNA. It is quite useful for that. There are certain tools which are available in Google, or when you Google something, you have to tell melting point of DNA. They will. There is a Python script that is available, which is running in the background, that will tell you what is the melting point of your gene sequence. They are using nothing but a Python script. How can we do that? Before going towards that, before demonstrating that thing, I will quickly give you a introduction about Python. What is Python? Why we are using Python? How it is useful in bioinformatics? All the things are there. Can anybody tell me what is the role of Python in bioinformatics? Why Python is most commonly used? BI is bioinformatics. Anybody tell me which kind of data is available in case of bioinformatics, either nucleotide, proteins, or RNA? Which kind of data it is? It is mostly sequence data, or you can say that it is nothing but a string data. Have you heard about this thing? In the case of C language, you have heard about various kind of variables. Have you heard about this thing? In that variable, there is a variable known as char. Can anybody tell me what is this? So what is the relationship between this character as well as and string? So in the case of character, we are using just a single alphabet, while in case of string, we are using number of characters at a single time. So this is the power of this Python. It can take strings in a minute interval of time, and it can analyze the data. And most of the data in case of bioinformatics, it is related to either DNA, either related to RNA, or either related to proteins. How can I recognize DNA sequence? In case of DNA, we can recognize it at ATGC or ATCG, whichever order you want to take. In case of this, we are just differing this RNA by using NU. But in case of bioinformatics, we are not using RNA as such. We are using cDNA instead of that. If we are using cDNA, then all the U should be converted into T. All the things is available. So most of the data when we are analyzing are generally related to either DNA or cDNA. This cDNA, where it came from? It comes from RNA only. So rather than directly taking RNA, we are taking cDNA. So how can we find out whether it's a protein sequence or not? For example, someone has told me it is ATGC in case of DNA. What about protein sequence? How can we find out whether it's a protein sequence or not? Okay, how many alphabets are there in case of English? 26. In this 26, how many number of, okay, in case of amino acid, how many amino acids are there? 20. So we have to remove only 6 letters from this alphabet, and these letters are V, J, O, U, X, and Z. These are the letters which are not coming in amino acid. Otherwise, rest all the letters are nothing but the amino acid. So in this case, all the information is related to only either characters or it is related to string. That's why we are using Python in bioinformatics. I will explore more about this Python thing in the subsequent slides. So the first thing, what is Python? Can anybody tell me? Have you heard about this thing? Python is a language. This is the common thing, and this is the symbol that is associated with it. What is the common things which are associated with Python? Yes, high level, okay. Any other? Puts, okay. Any other thing? Easy to use, okay. You can say. So all the points which you have mentioned is correct. So it is a language and nothing more than that. It is an interpretation kind of language. It is object-oriented language, and it is a higher level language. All the terms are associated with this Python thing. Second, why Python is famous? Easy to understand, yes. Okay, libraries, okay. Data, okay. Some people say that sir, Python is new, that's why it is famous. But according to data, Java, for example, it came in 1990, but Python is before that. 1989 it was there, and there are three different versions of Python that are available. And before going towards that, these three versions, 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Right now we are using this thing, 3.9 we are using this. But before going towards that, someone has told me about large number of libraries is there, wide area of applicability. These are the reasons behind this famous kind of thing in case of Python. So first is, it is the fastest growing language in terms of, first, in terms of developers, most of the developers are working on it. Second, number of libraries. There are lots of libraries. You can search any kind of library is available, either in case of bioinformatics, machine learning, any kind of thing you can search. Or there are various companies that are working on it, and there are wide applicability of this language in different disciplines. So this is the first reason. Second reason is, it is a general purpose language that can be used in machine learning, that can be used in graphical user interface, that can be used in software development, and that can be used in web development. That's why it is used. Here, one thing is not mentioned, that is bioinformatics. And why it is there? Because due to its nature of handling the strings. It can handle strings very quickly, and it can give in fraction of time it can give the result. So the tools that are made by using this Python thing is quite fast as compared to C, C++, and Java. And the third and the most prominent reason why we are using Python is, it is the easiest available language as compared to C, C++, and Java. Someone has told me regarding that. So which companies are using that? There are lots of companies like Google, YouTube, Reddit, all the things are there. These are the companies which are currently using Python. Even other than that, in case of Android as well as Apple devices, you have heard, this is the person who is behind that invention of this language. But there are various things which you are currently using, like Siri is there, or Google Assistant is there, which are using this thing, that is Python. Even right now, when you type something on the NCBI browser, for example, I am typing my gene name. For example, I am typing insulin. Then it will automatically gives me a recommendation regarding orthologous species. In case of, for example, in case of NCBI, for example, if you are typing something, and you are simply here, you are typing nucleotide, and you want to search in nucleotide for insulin. Here it is. I'm searching a gene, or you can say nucleotide related to insulin. So when you click on this, here it is, it will give you certain kind of organism. But if you select this thing, for example, gene is there, and when you search this thing, it will give you certain orthologous species. It will take some time because net speed is not that much fast. So these are the things that are available. These are the orthologous. It automatically recommends you various species that are common with that particular Homo sapiens. So this is nothing but the machine learning thing which is developed by this person whose name is this Udo van Rossum. And due to this, why the name Python is there? Because he was a fan of this particular British comedy series, that is Monty Python's Flying Circus. That's why he taken this name Python and named his language Python. And there are various versions of Python. As I earlier told you, there are 3 different versions of Python. Right now, we are using this third version, and currently we have downloaded this. I think most of the people has downloaded this thing. In the last class, I have told you that 3.9 version is available, and the important thing about Python is that it is not backward compatible. For example, if you are working in this particular 2.1 or 1.1, these commands are not working in this third version. So I will recommend you to work on this or download this 3 point something version, so that you will not face any problem regarding the running of these kind of scripts. So how to run Python? There are various things, various ways by which we can run the Python. The common thing is you can download by its website. We are downloading this thing 3.9.1, and there are other things. For example, PyCharm is there, or Jupyter notebooks are there. You can work in any way. But I will recommend you to use a simple method, that is IDLE platform in case of Python for running this thing. I think I have downloaded that thing, or you have also downloaded the same thing. I'm showing you IDLE. Here it is. It is coming. Yes, here. So I can check. Python can be used for the calculation purpose. For example, I'm saying I'm adding something. For example, 3 plus 2 is there. For example, I'm subtracting something, simply it is there, or I'm multiplying something. We can use Python as a calculator. Here it is, I'm using that thing, for example, here. And another, for example, division, it is there. All the things we can perform. We can find out the modulus function from using by using this thing. So all the type of calculation can be performed by this Python. Or how can we use this Python platform for our gene sequence? So for doing that, we need a new file. For example, when we click on this new file, a new window open, and this particular this file is you can say stored. The format for this is nothing but .py format. You can use any notepad also for making any Python file. I'm showing you that also, but before that I want to show how we can use IDLE platform for running certain kind of conditions. For example, I want to add two things. There is a variable a in which there is a number that is 34 is there. There is no need for comma, there is no need for semicolon as we have done in the previous languages like C and C++ and Java. So for example, there are two variables a and b whose values are already mentioned. One is 34 and another is 35. And I want to put my result in a third variable that is C. And here it is. For example, I am putting a plus b. Here it is. I can run that. How can I run that? First, I have to save that thing. First, here it is an option that is available. You can use F5 or you can use run command. First, we have to save it. How can we save it? For example, I'm using it as, for example, calculation, cal. Here, it is automatically written. It is a Python file. So we do not have to mention it as .dy because we are using IDLE platform. When you save this thing, it will automatically goes in the Python script and it will run automatically. I'm showing you that. For example, here it is run. It is not showing any result. Can anybody tell me why? No print statement is there or no display thing is there in case of this. So how can we do that? We have to just write a print thing, and which thing I have to print. For example, I want to print C. So it is there. So now I'm able to run this thing. Again, it is saving that thing. So it is 69. So it is automatically giving the thing. So in case of Python, it is quite advantageous to run the commands because it do not need any kind of special kind of you can say formatting kind of thing. So for example, I can add something. So here it is. So the value of addition is, I'm giving space and this and cutting this thing and this thing. Because I have to add this value after this thing, so I have to run like this. So can it will give the result or not? It will show the result or not? Anybody? I'm using a string in which it is written the value of addition is, and I am adding this value that is C, which consists 69. Should it give the results or not? One thing I want to add that you can add similar kind of variables because here the value, here it is a value or the number, here it's a string. String means any combination of characters. When you add strings with the number, it will not give you an answer. For example, I'm showing you here. It will show you error. So how can I use that particular value in terms of string? I have to convert that number into string. So I have to just engulf this number into, or I have to convert this number into string, str for string. It will give you, I am adding two different strings. One string is the value of addition is, and another string is which is recently converted in a 69 number has been converted into string, and right now it will work. For example, I'm showing here it is, the value of addition is 69. Are you getting my point? Whenever you have to find certain amount, for example, in case of DNA sequence, which we are using right now, you have to find out the number of A, T, G, and C. You can calculate easily by using certain commands, but whenever you want to print that thing, please consider that add str or string variable before that particular variable in which the value has been stored. Otherwise, it will generate an error. One thing I have showed you how Python can be useful for the calculation, how we can use Python editor for saving our commands, or you can simply use Notepad. For example, here it is, I am typing Notepad. Here it is. So this is there. So you are typing again something. For example, my first value is D is there, 13 is there, another, for example, F is there, 14 is there, and I want to subtract this thing, or I want to multiply something. For example, S is equal to D into, for example, and F. It is there. So I want to print that thing. Print. So here it is. So it is not that much user friendly. In this case, for example, I am adding the same thing, the value of multiplication. For example, I am adding this thing here, plus where it is stored in S. We cannot write S as such, so we have to engulf this thing in a string variable. So I'm converting in integer or normal number into a string, because we can add strings with strings, or we can add numbers with numbers. So because first one is string, that's why we have to make rest of the thing is also string. So I'm converting this S into a string number. And how we can save that? Using this save as. After that, for example, I'm saving on the desktop and I'm using cal for that same thing. And here it is all files. And because you are using Notepad, you have to use py for the Python. When you click on that, for example, here it is. I'm showing you there. Where it is cal, here it is. It is automatically converting your file into Python file because you have used a format that is .py format. Okay.